Iceland is an amazing place. I finally made it there in the summer of 24, and I want to give you 5 different things that I learned while I was there that I think will help you plan your trip there. I've been trying to get to Iceland for years. Way back in 2004, me and a friend were talking about places we wanted to go and almost dove in and bought tickets to Iceland. It was a spot that we had seen but didn't know much about. Back then it was far less touristy, and honestly I didn't even own a real camera at the time. I wish we'd done it then. I wish we'd gone, but we didn't. And ever since then I've always tried to get there. It's just not worked out. This summer I finally made it. A flight deal alert site that I'm a member of, Jetlag Hero, sent me an email with cheap flights from Birmingham to Reykjavik back in the summer for flights in August. Like round trip on Delta for a little over $500. That was a good deal. After meeting up with a friend, Eric, and talking about the flights, we decided that it was too good to pass up, and we had to make it happen. Another great opportunity for Eric was that he was about to get married, and his soon-to-be wife, Trisha, was also going to join us. The cool part was I was already planning on shooting their wedding in June, and we had plans to do an adventure session somewhere in north central Alabama after the wedding day, but knew that this Iceland trip was going to trump anything we'd be able to do around here. So we have a perfect opportunity to explore Iceland and also have a real adventure session with them there. It was really a perfect combination. All right, so the first thing is, it's more majestic than I even thought. I love the north. I love the time that I've spent in Alaska and Canada, other northern climates. I love the cooler temperatures, the extreme landscapes shaped by glaciers, the wildlife, the long days in the summer, all that stuff. I've really always kept my eye on Iceland online through YouTube and through Instagram, follow tons of creators in Iceland and that have gone to Iceland, and making mental notes of places that I really wanted to see the day I did make it. Man, I just wasn't prepared to see all the places that I've seen on YouTube and Instagram for years in real life. It's really kind of hard to put into words. It's a totally different perspective experiencing the sights and sounds and feeling in such a grand place. The waterfalls were roaring and much larger and more powerful than I even thought. The landscapes were so vast and so many different types of environments on such a small island. I mean, the braided rivers, they just felt like they went on forever. The desolate rock flows from the volcanic eruptions of the past that you would drive for miles passing through them. Massive glaciers hanging over the top of the edge of each mountain. And these rich green valleys loaded with birds and tons of waterfalls and streams and things. It's just a place that you've got to experience. So much better than I expected. I love sharing my experiences in different countries and places. My hope is that this information will inspire you to go and see those places and hopefully help you plan for those trips. I'm going to keep sharing this type of information on this channel, so please like and subscribe because it really helps YouTube recommend this to more people.
All right, we just got our car.
The second thing I want to talk about is it really takes longer to get from place to place than I thought. We didn't really have a specific itinerary or any bookings made outside of our flight and our car rental. We had a Google map saved on our phones with pins for the places we wanted to see most, and we landed at the airport and headed north. We went to the peninsula. I'm not going to try to name it. It's on the screen. I'm not going to try to pronounce the names. I know that I'll butcher them. On the map, it seems like a pretty easy drive, maybe just an hour or so up. The island's small. It can't be that far, but you got to think twice about that. It actually takes a while to get around. The ring road is well paved and the most like highways that they have in Iceland. But once you get off the ring road, the roads are really extremely windy, and most of them are dirt, like the F-roads that require certain vehicles to even navigate those roads. As each road winds around the landscape, there's not really a straight shot to different places, so you'll follow the curves of the mountain, the curves of the rivers. We took a drive up to the West Fjords up in the northwest portion of the island, and I was blown away with the size of each fjord in real life compared to how insignificant it looks on Google Maps. Even zooming in, it does not look as big as it is. So take your time. Don't bite off too many places, or you'll just spend all your time driving from place to place and only a few minutes there to enjoy it. So after the first day or two, we realized the time it was going to take us to drive, and we started actually taking stuff off of our list so we had more time to enjoy the places that we did see and leave time in there for some spontaneous finds also. So another thing is camping is really easy. Like I said, we didn't have anything booked besides our car and our flight. We got a car from Key Car Rental booked through Northbound, which is like a conglomerate booking site. We got a medium-sized SUV with a rooftop tent for Eric and Tricia to use while I just packed my own tents, camping pad, and sleeping bag. So from our research, we knew that there were campgrounds around and planned to find the ones that we need. Needless to say, campgrounds are everywhere. And the massive amounts of cars with rooftop tents, camper vans, and even campers, it made me feel like I was in the middle of one of the big U.S. national parks out west, like Yosemite or Yellowstone or something. I really feel like this is the best way to experience Iceland. There are very few towns, and the few that there are have very few services, and they're spread out a long ways from each other. And I love being able to stay at the place that we're going to see anyway. I mean, we're going to see the natural landscape, so I want to be able to be close to that spot. Camping puts you right there. So I would say if you plan to go to Iceland, you've got to get a vehicle that you can camp in. Even if you don't do the whole trip, you've got to do part of it. Okay, something else that I realized was that stores close really early or they open really late. One thing about Iceland is it's very sparsely populated outside the capital city. So many places like grocery, restaurants, convenience stores, and things like that, they open late or close pretty early. It especially seems early when you're out exploring and the sun doesn't go down till like 9, 10, or 11 o'clock, and a lot of those stores have been long closed. So prepare yourself and plan ahead. We had multiple stops, and we stopped at grocery stores to gather food for us to cook at the campsite, mostly breakfast and dinner. Midday, we snacked, and we stopped at some different restaurants along the way when we found some. For example, many of the coffee shops we stopped at early in the morning expecting some breakfast and things, they weren't even open till 9 or 10 o'clock. If the gas tank is half or less before you leave town, or if you pass a gas station, go ahead and fill up, because it may be running pretty low before you even come to the next one. Just take all this into account as you plan and what things you'll take and what things you'll need. Okay, so another thing is the weather in Iceland is crazy. We went in mid-August, and our camping plans worked pretty well for the most part. We weren't prepared for the wind, though. The wind was strong most of the time, but it really seemed to ramp up at night. And depending on the campsite location, it varied, but it was always there. There were a few nights, actually, that I thought my marmot tent, my little two-person marmot orange tent, was going to fall and flatten on me. I'd tied it down with just the regular stakes, but it was no match for the huge wind gusts coming down off the mountains or even off the ocean. And honestly, I wasn't prepared for the amount of rain that fell the 9 days that we were there. There were a couple days in the middle of our trip that were almost a complete washout due to the constant rain. I think camping is still the best way to do it. I think it's the best way to see Iceland. But a hard-sided vehicle like a camper van or camper that would fit all three of us well and it was affordable, I would definitely go that route. All right, so if you're watching this and you have been to Iceland, what other things would help first-time visitors? If you're planning your trip, what questions do you have? Either one of you leave a comment below and maybe we can help each other out. Through all my research, watching tons of YouTube and reading lots of blogs, I was able to find a lot of info about places in Iceland, how to get to those places, and what it was like visiting those places. But this info I really never found out. These are some things that I realized and I hope will help you plan your trip to Iceland. It's an amazing place, and I don't plan on it being my last trip. It probably has the most beautiful, epic landscapes of anywhere else that I've been, and I've really only scratched the surface of the places there. Over the last few years, I've watched as Iceland has gotten more and more popular of a destination. So if you haven't been, start looking at flights and planning your trip. The best time to go there is now.